Hello writers, and welcome to the first lesson of the course. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing how to evoke fear. For some, this may be the most important lesson. It'll be the lesson that turns your idea into something impactful, something that has the reader holding their breath. In this lesson, we'll be talking about how you can evoke fear in your novel, how to write about it, and how to make your reader feel it. We're going to be going through this process step by step, which means if you're in the planning stages of your novel, you can simply work it into your writing. First step is to decide whether you're going to be writing in the first or third person. It is common for beginner writers to start writing in the first person. Writing this way will help put you into the character's shoes, thus it will also place the reader in the same shoes. It's fantastic for this genre, yet third person can work the same way. Let us compare examples. You'll be seeing them on the screen now, and I'll read them out to you as they go. The first example is in the first person. The world fell silent. I could hear my heartbeat, my blood rush. All unnecessary sensation left me. All I had was the one breath burning in my lungs that I feared to exhale. I was paralyzed. Written in the first person, impactful and creates a sensation fitting for the thriller. Yet, if we write something similar in the third person, Andrew froze, deafened by his own heartbeat. The world fell silent. He felt nothing but the burning breath in his lungs. With every fiber of his being tensed, he wondered how long it would be before he broke. The result is pretty much the same. We describe the same points, but we have only adjusted it to suit the perspective we are writing in. You need not be pressured to write one way or another, but of course I recommend working with what you are comfortable with. The perspective you believe is fitting for your story. Second of all, nowhere is safe in your novel. Once your main threat, which we'll be discussing in a later video, has made itself known in your novel, you'll need to give the character, or at least the reader, the impression that they are not safe. Bringing this sense of reality into your novel is what will put your reader on edge. Let's take an example from a crime thriller. A detective is tracking down a killer. The killer hasn't been caught, but plenty of signs left behind tell the process the killer goes through. The calling card, the signs of the killer, the things that mark them out, even though we can't see them yet. So now let's take in this scenario that the killer has a calling card, an object that represents the killer. He is left behind by the bedside of each victim. The detective returns home after a long day, investigating the killer, walks into his apartment or empty home and finds the calling card on their bedside table. The detective knows what this means, the reader knows what this means. There is a pause in that moment. The moment of realization that the main character is in immense danger. The image of the main character murdered in a similar way then appears in both the reader's and the character's heads. Then the scene progresses any way you want it to. Still, you pop the bubble. The illusion of safety is broken, and the reader and the characters are left with an ugly truth. Third, research what happens to the body when someone feels fear. The way in which you describe these feelings, these emotions, is the way you're going to get the reader to feel them as well. Not only does it make for fascinating reading, but it helps create a more impactful scene. Let's start with fear. When somebody feels fear, they experience several symptoms, which you should see on screen now. Rapid heartbeat, sweating, twitching or erratic movements, a cold feeling in hands or feet, goosebumps, confusion, and disorientation, just to name a few. Now, I'm not saying every character will experience all these symptoms. People react differently to everything. Fear is no exception. While some may get goosebumps and others a pounding heart, others may sweat, twitch, whichever you feel is more suitable for your character's symptoms, those are the ones you'll be using. Remain consistent as well with your character's symptoms in particular. If they sweat when they are scared, make sure they will sweat when they are scared again. You won't be giving them a different symptom to suit a different scene. You'll be giving them symptoms that are characteristic to who they are. where those who get sweaty with sweaty hands, or those who have a rapid heartbeat, which is very common. It all depends on you, and of course you're going to have to give them multiple symptoms as well. Some people, you believe it or not, are going to be a lot calmer than others with their movements, while those will be shaking. So let's suppose the threat in your thriller is a blind monster. One of the senses are removed, but it makes up for this by being able to sense movement. In which case, giving your main character a twitch or shaky hands will certainly help to increase the suspense in the scene. Of course, this all depends on whether you want the character to live or not. The fourth point, your descriptions should be powerful. You're not going to grip your reader if your description isn't fitting. If you describe something as terrifying, you must use the right words to bring that across. Now, I'm not going to be describing any gore or extreme violence in this course, as it may not be to the taste of some thriller writers. Yet, those who plan on including violent imagery, be realistic and paint the ugliest picture you can. Find the worst features of the scene. Talk about those and nothing else. You want to create fear, not write a scientific analysis. If you're describing a monster, describe it in the same way. If it has sharp teeth, I would mention that. Yet, if the teeth are blunt and therefore not as great of a threat as the claws, you know what you should bring up first in your description. Let's take a look at a description of a monster, which you'll be able to see on the screen now, and I'll read it for you as well. It stood taller than twice my size, despite its twisted frame. With long limbs, it crawled towards me, bones popping and clicking with each movement. Nothing in its form was natural, but its intentions were more than hostile. This is a simple description, but it gives enough information to the character and to the reader as well to picture the monster in its entirety. Once the character is given more opportunity to study the monster, you can go into more terrifying detail. Fifth and finally, make use of the unknown. There are many different reasons that we feel fear as a species. These are all instinctual fears that we have inherited from our evolution. We fear the dark as it limits our senses, which puts us in danger from what could be lurking in the dark. Illness, pain, and so on, all reasons we feel fear. Of course, we cannot cause pain to our reader, and nor would we want to. All we have to work with to create fear as a writer is imagination. Using fear of the unknown by setting out a scene in the dark, describing something unfamiliar and threatening. In doing so, our reader feels the full extent of fear. Yes, we can convey the pain of our main character, their emotional or mental or physical trauma. None of this can compare to making use of the reader's imagination. Give them hints and make their inner fears surface as the reader tries to imagine what's lurking in the dark. With that final point made, I'm going to leave you here with a simple project to help develop your writing. With that, I thank you for watching this lesson, and I hope you found it informative. In the next video, we'll be talking about the threat in your thriller novel. The antagonist, the evil entity which seeks the doom of the protagonist. I will see you then, and bye for now.